Hi guys, so here is a quick video just to demonstrate the issue that I'm having with Cubase 11 and Cubase 12. I'm on Windows 10. I've tested this on Windows 11 as well, and it was exactly the same issue. I've got two synths here, Moog Minitaur and Korg Minilogue XD, two different brands, and they work perfectly fine and as designed in previous versions of Cubase, from Cubase 9, 9.5, 10, 10.5. So I've tested a couple, but then starting from 11 onwards, there is an issue. So let me show you quickly the way it works in the previous version, in version 10. So we've got a Minitaur here, a short loop. Okay, simple stuff. Now, both of these synths, Korg, Minilogue XD and Minitaur, come with their own VST editors. Minitaur uses an insert channel, that's an FX, and Minilogue XD has its own VST channel, so a panel that is part of the controller app. It's like a wrapper, and it's working pretty much the same as the other one. Now, as you can see, whenever I move the knob on Minitaur, that moves on the VST itself, and it also records the automation just as it should. So I'm inside Cubase 10 right now, and I'm gonna arm it for recording super quickly. Where are we? Minitaur here. I've got all my external instruments set up, all the MIDI devices, all the MIDI channels as well, so it's all ready to go. So let me just press play and I will automate the track for Minitaur. Right, so as you can see, it recorded the cutoff automation. Now, if I was to use a mouse instead of the physical knob on the hardware, it would be exactly the same automation lane. So let's try that. Okay, and I can again go back to the physical knob, and it's just one lane, very easy to edit, and you'll see exactly what's happening. Now, I've done a lot of tests, and I can even go as far as disconnect all my MIDI inputs for the track, or even change the channel, and it will still work. As you can see here, it is showing the input, simply because the editor itself has input and output built in. So my understanding is it captures the MIDI information from the synth, from the hardware, and uses that plugin then to transmit the data to Cubase. I've tried all the different settings here and channels, and as I said, when we go to Cubase 12, you will see it's not going to work. Now, if I was to use a physical knob here on Moog Minitaur, I think it should record another lane, which is gonna be CC. I think if we record now, there you go. So if I select the hardware as an input, it actually duplicates the data. It's using both streams directly from the synth on that channel 19 general purpose automation lane, and from the synth, from the editor itself as well. And as you can see, they duplicated. Now, if I went back and edited by mouse, then as you can see, the other one is not affected. So they kind of independent. But again, the way I would do it is not really have any input from the hardware itself. Just let the VST wrapper or the editor do its magic, and then I'm left with just one lane. The same with Korg Minilogue XD. So if I quickly mute this one and So if you see, I can move the knobs on the hardware. Again, arm it for recording. Okay, so it's recording, although I couldn't actually hear it, so probably something is missing here. But yeah, it's recording the cutoff the way it should. Again, if I went through the kind of only use the knob movement from the Minilogue XD, I think, yeah, it's creating a separate lane, right? Again, no real information as to what that parameter is, so it's not as neat and tidy as you know, as in here, where you know it is a cutoff, and when we talk about multiple parameters at the same time, then it can get a little bit messy. So that's Cubase 10. So as I've shown you here, we can disconnect the controller completely, and we're still able to record that data using that wrapper or the editor. It's working beautifully, and again, I can just use a mouse and it's doing one thing, right? So that's Cubase 10, and I'll show you exactly the same project. I'm just gonna save it and delete the data. I'll show you the very same project in Cubase 12, and you will understand where the real issue lies. Right, so now we are inside Cubase 12, the very same project we've just opened. I'm back on the Minitaur track, and as you can see, where is that editor? Let me just open it up so you can see. It's here. I can move the knob on the hardware. It moves the knob within the software, but it's not actually displaying anything on the cutoff lane anymore. And if I was to do anything, it's not even recording. If I do like a manual automation with a mouse, then I can use it, but obviously the hardware itself doesn't work. Now, if I was to again use the hardware insert for the CC data, then it will record that data. Okay, but again, if I went to edit now manually through the editor, it creates an independent track. It's completely two different tracks, and if you wanted to play it back, you end up with the parameters just fighting. So something has changed, because it's no longer possible, starting from Cubase 11 and 12. It's not possible to use that hardware knob on the synth itself and be able to carry over that data from the editor to Cubase. As you can see, it's only passing over the CC data, which previously it would carry that from the editor as well. And again, in Minilogue XD, the same story. Editor, yeah, so nothing's happening inside of Cubase, but the editor itself does react to the movements on the hardware, and the only option is again to use the CC data rather than the editor. And if I were to record it, again, creates a separate track. This one is resonance, cutoff at the top, and I think previously I've seen, I think if I use all MIDI inputs, I've seen a situation where it's actually creating like two separate channels. One was, well, I think I know what I've done. I think I've actually filtered that. Yeah, so there's a CC63 which I filtered because it was annoying. But if I was to remove it and just go back to the initial stage, Korg Minilogue XD transmits the data in 10-bit, so it splits that between two different channels. And as you can see, it's actually creating two lanes just for one parameter. If I was to use two, then you have like a spare lane which just creates some random stuff. And it's just not ideal. And there is just no way to get these virtual editors to transfer the data to Cubase for some reason. And I've tried everything. I've even disabled external instruments and went with the old-fashioned way of just creating a MIDI channel and audio track, and it was the same result. Regardless of the MIDI channels I set up here, because as I was showing in Cubase 10, you can literally just switch off any input and it will still communicate with the editor itself. So something has changed, I believe, with the way Cubase is designed. So I don't know if anyone has any clues or whether anyone managed to get it working to be able to transfer that data from these editors, because they are very, very handy. One of the reasons why I chose a specific synths is that communication with Cubase that used to work in previous versions, but it seems to be broken now. All right, thanks a lot.